Fearless Disease.
Fearless Disease fam, today we expose the truth they hate to hear, like right now, if you are ready. We're going to go over some clips. I know Mr. Trump has gotten a lot of backlash when it comes to the sudden death of Mr. and Mrs. Reiner. Rest in peace to them. We never want anybody to leave this earth, and especially the way that they left it by the hands of their offspring, their son. Very deranged young man, and out of rehab for drugs. And it's very sad that he wasn't able to get the help that he needed, and unfortunately, he took his own parents' life. Very sad story. But there's been a lot of backlash when it comes to Mr. Trump. He had posted and retweeted that, of course, it was unfortunate he left, but he did have some horrible remarks when it comes to Mr. Reiner. And he always would say that he had Trump deranged syndrome. He couldn't stand Mr. Trump, and he thought that he was the devil. He didn't like the movement and the way that he wanted to see America. I totally disagree, but you have to see the evidence on why he said that. And I don't think that Mr. Trump was saying that he wanted Mr. Reiner to actually leave this earth the way that he did, but he wanted to point out what type of character Mr. Reiner had when it comes to the president of the United States. So I want to look at some of these clips because I kind of believe him, but I kind of don't. Let's hear what Mr. Reiner used to say.
Racist in the White House. We have a sexist in the White House, and he is tearing away at the fabric of our democracy.
So he used to push a lot of propaganda. As you heard, Mr. Reiner would have press conferences, and as you see, he did a talking to a large group. Can't see the crowd, of course, but he was saying, as you heard right here, we have a racist in the White House. We have a sexist in the White House. And not only that, a rapist in the White House. When you say things like that, you have to have credible evidence. And it's very damning to a country where you have somebody of his stature. He's very big in the film industry, to be able to spew that type of hate towards a president of a country, especially you live here. We have free speech and you're able to say a lot what you want to say. You're going to say this in another country. I don't think you would have hands and feet in other countries if you'd have said something like that about the president, especially when it comes to a dictator. That wouldn't happen. But that's why we live in a beautiful country, which is America. We have freedom of speech, that you're able to say certain things like this. So I want to take away his right to be able to say stuff like that. But when you don't have any evidence when it comes to that, because he has not been convicted of any sexual crimes. It was a civil, but it wasn't in a strain where he had been able to have sexual assault against a woman. It did not happen. He was found in a jury of 20 that showed that he was not guilty when it came to that. Him being a racist, I do not believe that at all. Of course, he had certain remarks when it comes to certain races, but he's never gone out and said that I hate a particular color or a particular race. He has said that they have particular attributes when it comes to certain races, and I believe that as well, 100%. But just because you show certain attributes when it comes to a certain race doesn't mean that you hate or have a disdain for that race. I don't think people understand the definition of racism. Racism is a full hatred of a particular race that you don't even want to look at them or even breathe around them. I don't think Mr. Trump is that type of guy. I think he's seen certain attributes when it comes to certain races. And even me as a black man, or people will say African American, but I'm not African American. I'm a black. I never even stepped foot on African soil. So I'm American, black American. So even as a black American, I do not see Mr. Trump as a racist. So it's hard to hear, but let's see what else he had to say. He was on Vanity this time.
Single most unqualified human being to ever assume the presidency of the United States. He's mentally unfit.
People always say,
once again, lying again. He's unfit to be president. Now, he's an unconventional president. I would agree with you that he's not a traditional president as far as going to a certain college, being a certain stature, going through different avenues as far as maybe being a mayor, a congressman, a governor, and going that traditional route. But we're in a new age where we understand that you don't not necessarily have to go through those avenues to be a president. You actually have to run this country as a business, and America isn't a business. And the American people saw that they needed a businessman to be able to get into the office so they can run America efficiently. So he's made great movements when it comes to being a president because he knows business. Most of the things he signed off is going to be going towards a business-like mindset to make America a well-oiled machine so they can be able to produce more money and make it more comfortable for the American citizen. So that's why he was brought into being a president. Secondly, he's talking about him not being mentally stable. I think he's one of the most mentally stable 70-year-olds that I've ever seen. Reports have shown that he works 10 plus hours being able to handle phone calls, doing meetings, signing papers, meeting up with people. He works harder than the average 21-year-old has that energy. He speaks very fluently. Sometimes he messes up his words. He's not a eloquent guy at times, but he's able to articulate himself to the best of his abilities. And I understand him. You understand him. You just don't like the decisions that he makes. So you want to be able to act like a woman and say that he's not mentally smart, or he's not articulate, or he's mentally unstable. That's just speaking on your feelings. You just honestly just don't like the decisions that he makes, but that doesn't make him mentally unstable.
You know, he could redo All in the Family. I said, what do you mean? We're living it. We've got Archie in the White House. He always, when he quotes something that isn't him, and they're talking about Donald Trump, he goes, well, Donald Trump, bo, 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 bo. Every character is exactly the same. Well, Donald Trump, bo, 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 every time. And he always does that walk where he does like this, you know? Always.
The problem
So basically, you just don't like the way he moves. You haven't said anything that he didn't say anything that holds water. Basically, you don't like the way he walks. Okay, just the way he walks, the way he says his words. You don't like the way he just says his words. That's just a little nitpick, little small things. Maybe you're intimidated by the man. Some people don't ever think that sometimes, especially when it comes to older adults like that. Sometimes you're just intimidated by them. Maybe you wanted to be in a certain type of position. You're just mad that he holds certain stature when he goes into offices. Men do that. Men are sometimes jealous of other men. They just take it out on other ways to say they don't like some particular things. Think of it that way. When you see like certain women, they don't like a certain girl. You can tell they don't like a certain girl, but they won't say it. They just may be jealous of the way they move, maybe their hair or something like that. This is just another example of that, but in the male sense.
has, as far as I can see, is that he's a pathological liar.
People have to understand our democracy is being taken away from us. Make no mistake.
Democracy is not being taken away from you. They keep saying this over and over again when it's not really happening.
We have a year before this country becomes a full-on autocracy.
This is not a political party anymore. I don't know what this is. I believe there's a Christian nationalist movement that's very frightening. Do we want?
So this is the talk of the devil. So when you hear stuff like that, this is a Christian. Rewind. I want to make sure you hear it one more time.
This is. I believe there's a Christian nationalist movement that's very frightening. Do we?
Christian national movement that is frightening. Christian national movement that is frightening. So when you hear those words together, what do you think? That you don't want a nation of Christians? So when you speak this ill will about a certain religion, especially I'm Christian, that's how it is. For other Christian people in here, hey, throw the fist up, hey, give me a high five in the comments. But as far as what's wrong with a Christian movement? What's wrong with your nation being Christian? America was founded off of Christianity, 100%. That's facts, 100%. Even some in the Constitution, the way they did their bills, the way they structured it was off the principles of Christianity. So that's 100% fact. So why wouldn't you want to be in a Christian nation and you don't want to continue to be one? You want to be against it. Mr. Donald Trump is not the best. 100%. I want you to understand. Trump is not the best figure for Christianity. He's not. He's human like anybody else, and he admits he's done wrong things. But when it comes to being Christian, you have to learn to forgive, and people find Christianity in a different way. So if he's trying to change his life, and we want to believe that, I believe it. If anybody wants to come and say he wants to change their life, but his foundation and the things that he pushes and what he wants in America are going towards Christianity. 100%, you can't say that about him. Just because he don't show the best and actually being a great Christian doesn't mean that he's not pushing for Christian attributes. And that's one of the reasons why I stand up for him sometimes, because he's trying to push towards it. He made his mistakes and he's done horrible things, of course, just like most people. But if he's pushing towards those attributes, I stand 10 toes with him as far as him being able to praise God. He wants to build more family. He wants to stop the alphabet people. He wants to be able to cut certain things when it comes to Medicare and SNAP benefits for certain people, because he wants people to work. God always wanted us to work. Faith without works. Faith without works. So if you're giving stuff free to you all the time, you're not being able to work for it. So to go back to what he's saying, that he doesn't want Trump to be able to push a Christian nationalist type of movement, that's very telling. Very telling.
Want to continue democracy, or do we want to slip into fascism?
We have
And they use fascism in a wrong sense as well. Fascism, it can be, if you look at certain devastations, it could be good or bad. Fascism mainly goes towards you actually loving your country and wants to push for your country. So it's going to be a democracy. You always want to be able to push for your country. So in some instances, you could be a little bit fascist, but is fascist always bad? Is fascist always a wrong thing? They always say it all the time, but is fascist actually a wrong attribute for an American citizen because they want to be able to push America? That's a good question. I want to see people in the comments to see what you think about that. But it's a good mash of clips to understand what mindset and what he had to say about Trump before he had unfortunately left this earth. Smash a like. Tap the next video here on the screen, subscribe, and hit that bell. CashApp FearlessDisease is always in the description if you are rocking with the movement. See you on the next one. Stay rich and stay fearless.